Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Du'as of afiyah and barakah for everybody, inshallah ta'ala, who will be listening to this live stream in the moment or later on. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us all with best of health, best of iman, with the sensibility to navigate in this dunya with taqwa and tawakkul. Ameen, Ya Rab, Ameen, Ya Rab, Ameen, Ya Rab. I pray that everybody has been well in the past week. The last conversation that we had through this live stream was having crucial conversations, and it was just a part one. Today, inshallah ta'ala, we will try to complete what we had started, how to be able to carry the conversation, how to have those difficult thoughts removed. So last week, I had emphasized more, like according to the book Crucial Conversations, I had emphasized more upon you need to understand that the problem, what are the problems from within me? What are the stories that I'm making? What is it that, how am I projecting the problem onto the other person? Or what is my agenda? We all come with an agenda. One of the things when I was reading the book was like, you need to be safe first for yourself. You need to be safe for the person that you're having conversation with. And as a parent, I have seen this many times in my parenting as well, that as a parent sometimes we are not safe. We are not safe not because we don't want to be safe. We absolutely want the solution, but it should be our kind of solution. It should be where we are satisfied, our ego is satisfied, or where we feel that we actually have an upper hand. And that is not just with our children, that is with our spouses as well, that is with our anybody who we believe that needs to listen to us. So if I give my own example and my story, the majority of the times my problem was I want it to be my way. I want my point of view to get across, so much so that it should be exactly as I had thought out to be. And now, just recognizing that this struggle is within me, it is with my ego, it is something that I want because that's how exactly I see it. And so I pursue the solution to the problem in that manner. Now, that is a problem, right? Once we understand that we're making stories, once we understand that we should not be coming from the ego, once we understand that we have to have soft eyes, soft face, we have to be able to welcome the other person into the conversation, and we have to have listening ears in order to actually be able to process. Now, the next question comes is, how much do I trust the other person? How much do I trust the process? What is it that's going to happen to me when the issue number 1A is addressed and I'm not liking where this is going because I'm not liking the solutions that they're putting on the table, or I'm not willing to work because this is not how I had seen this problem, or something else comes up that you're totally unaware of and you're like taken aback and you're like, this is how you see me, this is how things look for you. And so you have to, number one, agree to a mutual purpose, the mutual purpose. So come down to this, come down from your ego, come down from your mistrust, and understand what is the mutual purpose. For example, in a spouse's relationship, the mutual purpose is that we both don't fight over this issue every single time that it appears, okay? Or with children, with teens specifically, that this is the boundary that I have set up with my child, and I want them to be able to see my point of view, and I will come to a solution that is a mutual solution for both of us, so that this problem does not occur over and over again, right? You have to recognize what your mutual purposes are, and you have to say, like, okay, we're going back and forth. What is it that you want out of this conversation? What is it that I want out of this conversation? And this can only happen, people only open up when you give them acknowledgement and validation, and you keep repeating that, listen, I honestly don't want you to feel unsafe around me. I want you to trust me. Sometimes just saying simple words as I want you to trust me, and when the other person is on a non-trusting part, or they're not feeling safe around you, or they have a history where they have tried to trust you but the conversations were shut down, or they feel that it did not go how they wanted. If they say this, that, listen, I know you say these words but you really don't follow through, then you have an invitation to ask, give me an example, make me understand, what is your point of view? One of the greatest tools to solve a problem is our ability to look into some through someone else's point of view, through someone else's fear mindset, through someone else's struggle. That is one of the most important things. And as a mother, I can tell you this. As a parent, I can tell you this, that we're more easy going when it comes to this because we really want to understand our child. With the adult, of specifically our spouses, we're not that easy. We're not that easy, and the reason is we have a lot of ego, mistrust, or hurt that we have accumulated over the years, and so conversations with them might become difficult. It can be vice versa too. It can be that you have this child who's going through this phase. Your child was a very sweet kid, but now it has become very difficult to get through them. You're really not understanding what's going wrong. You're second guessing yourself. You're second guessing your parenting. You're second guessing the friends they have, the conversations they have at school. You're sometimes unaware of the kind of conversations they're having at school or their teachers are bringing into the classroom. Sometimes that's the issue too. Once, this was a long, long time ago, I had a mom bring her to my youth group in the masjid, and she and I'm a bit embarrassed to admit this, but I was not aware of the word agnostic. I said long, long time ago, okay? And she sits with me and she says, "You know what? I brought my daughter to you because she has just recently claimed that she's agnostic, and I don't know what to do." And I was like, okay. And then quickly I searched up what agnostic means, and then I figured out, okay. And when the girl came into the youth group and she started to have conversations and she started to discuss ideas, everything seemed so normal. Everything seemed like an average teen, like nothing was abnormal about her. But when it came to the conversations of God, and when it came to the conversation, it was so clear that it was the philosophy AP class that she was taking in the school, and the teacher who kept propagating the ideas that why do you have to believe in God? Life can be so much good without the religion thing. And she was not doing it just because that kid was a Muslim. She was doing it with all the kids. Like there were Hindu kids in the class, there were Sikh kids in the class, there were Christian kids in the class, there were even Jew kids in the class. It was like one for all, no religion, get it out of the way, and then live your life, right? And what happened with that kid was, she remained agnostic for as long as I knew her, which was like a year and a half. And then later on, we did not stay in touch. But you sometimes the conversation starts at a very in those safe spaces where we send our children, and we're not aware that those spaces are not safe. So you have to be aware of this. It's not just something is wrong with the child. Sometimes you have to have that lens. Okay, coming back to the thing. So first, stick with your mutual purpose. What is your mutual purpose? That they should agree to my point of view cannot be a mutual purpose, right? Number two should be recognize the purpose behind your strategy. Where is it that I want to bring them? Where is it that I want to go with them? It's not a tug of war. It's like in hand, where are we standing right now, and where do we want to be standing? Number three is sometimes you need to invent a mutual purpose. Sometimes you need to understand, like for example, a absolute no can change into a let's try this. An absolute aversion to an idea can change into, okay, let me be open to this idea. Now, of course, it comes with your values, it comes with your principles. If you do not drink, you're not going to say, okay, let me just try drinking now because I want a mutual purpose and I want a mutual solution. That's not what I'm saying. We all use our common senses. Our values are most important to us. The integration of our Islamic values, of our life values, is important in those solutions. We need to be able to know ourselves so much so that when we are saying an absolute no to an absolute maybe, or to a let's try this, we know that we're not compromising our values as well, and we are coming from an empathetic point of view. Okay, and you brainstorm new strategies. So for examples, and then when you're brainstorming strategies, you point out what are your cross purposes. If we do this together, what are we going to get? So if a child wants something, if a teen wants something, and you have your boundaries set, that this is the time, this is the thing, this is the place, this is the space. If they agree to all of this, then you say, okay, fine, go ahead, do this. Then you are like, my point across is, yeah, my mutual realization to the strategic problem solving is that you will not cross my boundaries. And the teen's perspective is that I am still going to enjoy what I wanted to do, but in those boundaries that were mutually agreed upon us, right? So that is how you're, so commit to search for a goal that will benefit for you. You both need to have a goal. You both need to have a goal. One of the problems, like I stated before, is like, if they do is exactly like I say, then we both will be happy, which is a lie. Which is a lie, which our ego keeps telling us, like, if they just understand me, if they just agree with me, if they just acknowledge me, only if they just acknowledge me. Because you know what happens when two people are not agreeing and one starts to acknowledge, the other person starts thinking just because they're acknowledging and thus just because they're validating, they are going to do as I say. Not necessarily. And not necessarily. One of the stuck points that we have with our spouses or with our children is, I told you, and we agreed upon this, and you recognize that this was the problem, and still you're doing the same thing. What is wrong with you? They agreed upon it because A, you never let them speak. Number two, you did not listen to them. Number three, you assumed, or I assumed, that just because I'm speaking and they're nodding their head and they're agreeing, or they're nodding their head, that means they're acknowledging what my pain point is, and now they're validating and say, I'm sorry that you feel this way. Oh, they validated my emotion, now they're agreeing with me. No, they're not agreeing with us. Not necessarily they're agreeing with us. We have to be very clear in our conversations. Assumptions of thinking that just because my point was made across and the other person was open to listening, we have now a mutual point of view. No, we don't. No, we don't. We usually get tricked into this trap. So you have to commit to a goal. You have to ask the other person. You have to pull them in. You have to push yourself a bit. So, and you have to say, let's come up with common objectives. Let's come up with a common goal. Let's come up with something that we both will agree with. If you would have the chance to do this, how would you do this? Put yourself in my shoes, or tell me how I can. Sometimes just ask, what will I do that will make you happy? And of course, you will get some answers that you will not be happy with, but at least you will see, where are they standing emotionally, or where is their story coming from, where is their fear coming from, where is their expectation coming from. And sometimes people are absolutely selfish. Teens are absolutely selfish, and yes, we recognize that. I can be absolutely selfish in my pushing my kid towards something that they're absolutely not interested in. It happens every single day, everywhere around the world. And the realization of it is a big step towards healing any relationship as well. So usually these are some sentences, these are some phrases that you can say, help me understand where you're coming from. Everybody in my college is doing it, my school is doing it. Okay, but we will not do it because this is not according to our values. Your values, not my values. Okay, so what are your values? And I'm not saying every conversation is going to become a solution or is going to have a solution, but start somewhere, get somewhere. Somewhere. What are you trying to achieve? What is it that you want, right? So, and I hope up until now it's good. Inshallah ta'ala. So, with a clear mutual purpose, you can join forces in searching for a solution that serves everyone. I want to make this statement, and probably it's not a very good statement, but I do want to make the statement that not necessarily we'll be happy with the solution. You have to understand that. Not necessarily you will be happy with the solution, but you have to wait and see the consequences of that solution. You have to let somebody get to the natural consequences of the solution. So before you speak, get unstuck. Okay. Before you speak, get unstuck. And how do you do that? What problem should you address? Right? What problem should you address? I want to do da 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 da. Yeah, I want to have da 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 da. Or I promised this, but I broke this promise. And this is the problem that you're seeing from the other party. And that is the problem that you want to address, right? And you start with the heart. What do you really want for yourself? Um, you want them to respond how you want them to respond, or you want the result in your, this fly is really bothering me, or you want to resolve the problem, or you want to get connected with the person so that you understand them at a deeper level so these issues don't arise again, right? And master your story. What are the facts about your story? What are the facts about your story? Again, stories are really important because when we get overwhelmed, we start saying things that really are not connected to that matter. And it's very difficult because if one person is emotionally charged up, and I'll be the first to admit, when I'm emotionally charged up with my spouse in in an argument, in a conversation, or in something that I want my point, and I'm so passionately, persistently saying things, and I don't see the kind of response that I want them to give me, what happens is like, and you did this too, and you know what? I know this is going to happen because this happened then too, and then I know this I know is coming from the story that I have in my head. This I know is coming from the disappointments that I've felt, and I've connected them with the stories that I've been creating because I've been catching myself in moments of disappointment and mistrust, and I've developed issue. I've developed a mistrust issue. I've developed something that that has broken my heart, right? And not necessarily the other person did it to me, it's because of the idea that I should be heard and I should be understood in this certain specific way has brought me to this place. I really hope that you sit with this right now. I'm not saying that people don't hurt us. I'm not saying that. But if you really look at your hurt story, you will see red flags from within you. At least that's been my personal experience, not necessarily everybody's experience, but that is one of the ways that we heal too. We become stronger, we become more emotionally resilient when we recognize our own hurt story patterns, the things that we truly are holding on to, we are believing, we are not trusting the process, or not having tawakkul in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The more you hold on to a story that is full of hurt, the more difficult the conversation is going to become. I want to give an example to what I just said. For example, you scrape your elbow or you scrape your knee. Every time it hurts, you remember, but there are times that you're going about your life without hurting and it starts healing. But if you keep scratching it off, if you keep holding it, and if you keep showing it in every conversation, your objective is going to become very blurred in that difficult conversation. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to create a sense of guilt and shame and fear and abandonment. It's not going to help the relationship at all. At all. So I hope that makes sense. Inshallah ta'ala bi'iznillah. What do I want to say? There was this example that my spouse won't talk about anything serious. My spouse is the person who we talked about. I try to hold a meaningful discussion. I try to work through an important problem, and he or she simply withdraws. What should I do? And so they say that the danger point is it's common to blame others for wanting to stay in a dialogue as if we were some kind of a genetic, that's not the genetic disorder, that's not the problem. If others don't want to talk about tough issue, it's because they believe that it won't do any good. Either they aren't good at dialogue, or you aren't, or you both aren't, or that is what they think. So the solution is You should. And when I was reading this, I was like, subhanallah, after reading, after learning, after coaching, number one that I realized is that we all come from our temperaments: the sanguine, the melancholic, the phlegmatic, the choleric. We don't study that. We need to study that. Number one. Number two, we all have our attachment styles: the avoidant attachment style, the other avoidant attachment styles, etc., etc. We have our attachment styles. Number three, we come from our stories, whatever stories in the childhood and whatever kind of relationships we had with our parent, we project those, right? We repeat the same cycles. We want to think that we are different, but honestly, if you don't do self work, we're not different. We don't know even ourselves, and things come out of us. And and we might be so biased to those things, so biased to our reactions, that we don't understand. And it is important to do self work. It is important to understand the temperament of the other person. It is, even with your children, you need to understand the temperaments of your children. We don't do that. We have no information on that. We don't think beyond good. They're good, they're bad, they're easy, they're hard. My life is tough, my life is easy. I'm loved, I'm not loved. I'm enough, I'm not enough. Why are they like this? Why is she like this? Why me? We don't go beyond this majority of the time, and we lose so much time in our lives about all of this, right? So you need to understand all of these things. So when you know that somebody is avoidant to tough conversations, right? You need to understand their style, their temperament, their style of communication, their style. I'm not saying always please the other person. Somebody just the other day asked me, "So you want me to become somebody that I am not, so that I can get my point across?" No, I'm not saying become somebody that you're not. I'm saying learn the tools. Like, for example, there are locked doors, right? Every locked door has a specific key. I am saying be the holder of the key, not become the whole key lock. I'm not saying to change your personality. I'm saying understand, find out which key opens that specific lock. Because doors and locks are not the people, they're just the pathway, they're just the connecting point. Every door has a different lock. You are the key holder to the locks of several conversations and several perspectives in your life. Know to know your key. Learn to know your key. Adapt to different keys. Don't change your personality. Be authentic to yourself. Improve yourself. Become a better person. Have a life of taqwa and ihsan, excellence in character, right? But know the keys too. That is the basic point, inshallah ta'ala. I hope that makes sense. So constantly watch when you see when your spouse starts to become uncomfortable. Use tentative language. And what is that language? For example, I'm pretty sure you're not intending to. If your spouse is consistently seems unwilling to talk about his or her personal issue, learn how to explore other spots. Practice explore other spots. Like, okay, what is your point of view of this? Okay, if you were in a totally safe space and you don't feel judged, what would you say for this? What is it really that bothers you? What? And sometimes, and I want to say this, sometimes the person that you're talking to might be emotionally immature. Given, if one person is working and on their self-care and on their self-development and on the sense of communication and how to become a better parent, and the other person is doing absolutely nada, nothing, because, well, they don't have to, they don't feel the need, everything is fine according to them, it is like this, it is like this, it's been like this for centuries, nothing can change, blah blah. If they're coming from that mindset, I am not saying that when you're doing all this work, when you find your key, when you try to unlock the problem, the other person is going to come out so emotionally mature. Suddenly a bulb is going to go in their head and they're going to like, wow, wow, you are really understanding me. I did not say this. This is not about how the other person is going to react, respond, or understand. This is about trying our maximum best to make our lives easy and find solutions to the mutual problems, right? So when I was reading this line, I was like, sometimes people are like, can you just shut up? Can you just not talk about these touchy feely things? I don't want to talk. I really don't want to talk. I'm not okay. And there are so many couples like that around us who one is so extremely avoidant that the other has learned to live with it. They're fine with it. They find their spaces, their safe spaces, their nooks and corners, their friendships, their relationships where, it's okay. And to deal with that emotionally immature person, you give them time. To give them years and years of time. And sometimes you become so enabled because of the self work that you've done. You've become so empowered and enabled that when they are shutting you off, you're like, you put their hand down and you say, listen, here I am, you see me, I see you, cannot run away. Depending upon the problem, depending upon the variety of the problem, how important it is, right? You either you push back or either you pull back. You're like, this is worth it, this is not worth it, this is worth it, this is not worth it. Who decides? You decide. How do you decide? Because now you are emotionally mature enough, you know how to take care of your stories, you know if you're coming from your ego or not, you know how to bring mutual solutions to the table, you know how to listen to the other person. Then things become easy. Even if you believe honestly that the person in front of you is emotionally immature, you still know how to maneuver across that emotional immaturity. Do I make any sense? Please just give me a comment here so that my life becomes easier and I wrap this up. I'm giving you I'm giving you a conversation tip of how to make this conversation end in a nice loop. And this is what they say in the end. This is what they say in the end. They say that if you're constantly on your best dialogue behavior, in my head, there's this conversation where somebody is telling me, why should I be at my best dialogue behavior? That tells me that I need to do more self healing. I really need to come out of this constant hurt. I really need to know that this is just not about me. This is about how important the relationship is with my child, with my spouse, with anybody else in my life, right? So if you're constantly on your best style of behavior, you'll build more safety in a relationship, and your spouse will be more likely to begin picking up on the cues and start coming around. And they're right. They're absolutely right. It is not humanly possible that if you're giving 10 or 20 good bids of connection, the other person does not give you one back. Now, those are really problematic situations. Probably there is mental health therapy or marriage counseling or divorce in that situation. But usually, when people are not seeking out with vengeance to hurt the other person, and they do have some empathy and some taqwa and some common sense that they want to preserve a relationship, they will respond to the goodness. And we see this from the life of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I am amazed at the fact that we talk about seerah, but we talk about it in the context as if it's not applicable to our lives. One of the most consistent stories from the life of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one of the consistent teachings is, be absolutely kind with common sense. Of course, do not put yourself in harm's way, but be absolutely kind, and do not say that the other person's heart cannot be changed. Allah says in the Quran, it is me who changes the hearts. We can try. There are relationships that break, there are divorces, there are ugly divorces, and the people hurt in those divorces would say, I tried my best, wallahi al-azim, I did so much work on myself, on the relationship, and they did not budge. It was not their risk. They were not allowed, or they were not given the sensibility to be grateful for the risk of your love, for the risk of your loyalty, for the risk of your commitment towards them. Their loss. Their loss. Now, these are extreme situations, but I wanted to address this at the end of this conversation because I don't want anybody feeling that just because I've tried so much and the other person hasn't tried, so this does not work. It works. It absolutely works. But you have to have tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And at the end of the day, the results are not in our hands. It's in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can do the effort, we can make dua, we can be consistent with our good manners, good adab, good intentions, um, good self-development skills. But nobody can say that, yes, this will happen, or yes, this will not happen. They say that you need to help your spouse to see a reason for having this conversation, a reason that is so compelling that he or she will be willing to take a part in it. What is the one reason that you might think that in spouses it's I am hurt, or I'm really grieving, or I'm really really struggling with being content, happy in this marriage, or feeling safe around you. If they are good people, if they're people of taqwa, if they're people of some human common sense, they will say, okay, I'm listening. That's a reason enough. That's a reason enough. With our children, for example, with one of my kids, once I was having a really, really, really difficult time connecting with them. I don't know what phase they were going through, but they were not happy in their life either. And so I said, listen, every time I open my mouth to talk to you, I fear. I fear that you will shut me down. I sometimes I even fear that if you hear my voice, you're going to get triggered. I want to become mute around you, but I love you so much that it hurts for me. It hurts me to see you so angry. I don't know. Maybe I cannot resolve anything. You're not trusting me enough to share anything with me, and that's okay. But don't shut me down thinking that I will love you less, or I won't be able to understand, or I want to find out what's happening. That's not my purpose. My purpose is to love you, to nurture you, to connect with you, to hold you close to me. However, whatever it is that you're going through, I love you unconditionally. Even if I won't agree with everything, I will still love you. My love is not conditional to you agreeing to me. Don't disrespect me like this. It hurts me. You're shutting me down, your angry expression. My simple question is, are you hungry? And the response that you give me, it hurts me. And I'm fearing talking to you. That is not where I want us to be. And I saw a shift on their face. I saw a shift on their face. They really did not realize what they were doing. So sometimes just being vulnerable and open is really good, without blaming, but giving that that I love you. This is with the children. This is with the children that I was saying. Jazakallahu khair, everybody. Thank you so much for being in this conversation, for the people watching and for the people who'll be watching. This was the end of this topic. I really hope and pray that, inshallah ta'ala, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has given us the ability of bayan, of having conversations, of understanding, of cognition. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes us easy in our conversations with our loved ones and with the people that we care about, with humanity. Ameen sum ameen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to be able to understand with wisdom when somebody is speaking to us, and may we not just react, but we actually respond appropriately. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala al-Hakim make us wise. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala al-Alim help us to understand. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala al-Kareem make us easy and make our relationships easy. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala al-Wahhab gift us with this ability to be able to unlock the locks of difficult conversations. Ameen sum ameen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our brothers and sisters in Gaza and in Sudan and in everywhere in the world. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to see the haqq and stand with the haqq and recognize the batil and stand against the batil. Ameen sum ameen. Jazakallahu khair, everybody. Take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.